Hey y'all, quick one. This one is for the ladies. Um, as we know, God is love, right? And God being love, He has something, someone He set His love towards, right? And I wanted to particularly say this to ladies. We were meant to be loved. We are meant to live knowing we are loved. And I want to particularly speak into the unfortunate areas where love has not shown itself. It has not been patient. It has not been kind. It has been selfish. It has shown itself with all kinds of tearing down. I myself, I'm not a particularly big person. I mean, barely over 5 foot. I often joke and say I'm the height of a 12-year-old. And I'm not a very big person either, in terms of like muscle mass and all of that. And in this world, we can often feel that as women, we have got a constant target on us, and it doesn't help when an overwhelming number of men feel entitled to belittle, attack, and just do us women harm from the cradle, you know? And it doesn't help, worse yet, when we understand perpetrators and their criminality. But then there's the silent bystander who is a man and who often just make like they are deaf. They don't, I mean, we often hear about a woman has been raped. That makes it sound so arbitrary. It makes it sound like rain falling, Rain falling just falls everywhere, and it doesn't particularly aim for a specific person. It's just falling, and thereby, you say a woman has been raped. It's like, oh, just it fell on her. It never says a man. The news and the speech and the wording never say a man raped a woman, because if it said that, it would highlight so much about where the harm is coming from, even though we all know it's obvious. But it's the not saying the obvious that makes it so much more harmful. And I believe that supports and upholds the criminality of what happens to women. However, this is not a feministic video in any ways. What I want to highlight is out of my life in particular. As a small person, growing up in apartheid South Africa and middle income parents and struggling through life, you can feel small. You can feel really small. You can feel overwhelmed. It can be incredible. I mean, I know I spent at least 25 years of my life, which is half of my life, feeling embattled, and feeling misunderstood and not heard. And so what happens is that then I try to overcompensate you, and so then I come across being talkative, and in the meantime, it's me trying to vocalize what a lot of times the words really are not saying. Vocalize my heart, vocalize my help me, and looking to people. Error number one. And it is an error because our help is from the Lord. So there's a psalm about my help is not from the mountain, my help is from the Lord. I shall look, it says something like that. I'm sure a lot of you know this psalm. It was popular for a while there. My help is from the Lord. That is correct. However, it is not incorrect to also look to your partner, your husband and your male relatives for help as a woman. It doesn't mean we're helpless. It just means it's natural. That's what happens. I mean, I remember, I'm a single mom. I remember my little 3-year-old. Now he's 30. And there was this guy harassing me. We were walking from the shops, and this guy came up to me, and he came trying to talk to me. And I was just saying to this guy, listen, dude, I don't know what language you're speaking. I could tell what he was trying to get, He was hitting on me. But I was not interested. But he did not respect my initial stepping away, my second, no thank you, my third, I don't understand what you're saying, my fourth, I don't want to talk to you. And each sentence heightened my little 3-year-old son's sense of protection. Immediately, he stood in front of me and was like, hey, who are you? Go away. Who are you? And pushing at this guy. And immediately this guy turned on my son, and I mean, he was going after him, and obviously that was going to become something else. So I grabbed the kid, I grabbed my boy, and I said, listen, dude, go away. And eventually he, for whatever reason, he went away. I don't even remember whether I prayed or whatever, but he went away. The reason I'm mentioning this is that even at night, my little boy says to me, Mommy, that was not a good person. Hey, that was not a nice person. Who was that person? It was on him. It was in him to try and be a protector to the female, and it's natural. However, when we are saved, we are no longer natural. We are no longer meant to be natural by instinct, but supernatural by instinct, which means we ought to now have that thing that Paul talks about, the renewing of the mind, and our minds ought to be renewed to, I am loved by the Lord. I am protected by the Lord. The Lord is my shepherd. He takes care of me. And look at Law and Grace, where the shepherd is concerned, right? Under the law, even under the law, David wrote, the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me, and shows the shepherd as a provider, which is beautiful. And this is under the law. And still under the law, the shepherd is a provider. Now let's go to Jesus. We are in the new dispensation, okay? And Jesus gives a parable of the 99 sheep versus the one. In this one, the shepherd doesn't just leads. He goes after the sheep. He picks the sheep up. He carries the sheep. And when we look at in Isaiah 53, the one about that one about he was bruised for our iniquities. And if you read on further, it says, and like sheep without a shepherd. It goes on to say that God is our protector. He is our number one protector. And whatever it is any of you ladies are going through now that is not looking like love, does not feel like love, maybe you don't know. I mean, like me, I mean, this, I'm learning what all this love is. And you might think, but I don't even know what love is. Maybe a lot of us think that love is just the physical of it, but we know better, don't we? It's not a case of know better, should do better, but it's a case there's an innate knowledge that there is more. And unfortunately, we'll seek the more from food, from our careers, from our children, from outside. Whereas we should, as saved people, be looking for it inside, where the Holy Spirit resides, and ask Him to show us what this love is. And so that, and I'm saying it to say, not so that we can get it down pat, but so that we can then have a new instinct, a new knee jerk, that when some guy slaps you across the face and calls you awful names, you can stand up and be able to say, I am so not that because I am loved. You know, I realized in my 40s, I mean, I've got a very up and down, I guess, relationship with a lot of my family. And I realized it's also probably because we don't understand each other. On my part, I've just quit trying to understand. I'm just done. I'm just so done. But one of the one of the one of the areas where I got done was when in Setswana we have a way of saying, and it's basically a direct translation is, I too am loved. I say it in Setswana because it just rings different, you know? It just rings different in that way. I'll try and just delve into the depth of it and say, this is where my turnaround came when I was like, for the love of God, surely God also loves me, you know? It's something like that. And it really is a surely. We use surely in a way to say we are not even sure, don't we? We often say surely when we mean, I'm not sure. But in this context, surely we are loved. And yes, we need to walk in this love. And we need to realize we are not prey. We may feel vulnerable because we look at ourselves. However, this was going to be a quick video, but I just want to reiterate. I just want to retell a story where I was with a friend of mine, and I'm telling this story in the context of we may feel vulnerable, but we are not. It is us. If we feel vulnerable, it's because of experiences. If we feel vulnerable, it's because our belief is wrong. I'm sorry to say, but so long as we know the belief is wrong, it means we can get it right. You know what I'm saying? So that said, in terms of that, there is a meme or something, a picture where you see a kitten in front of a mirror, and behind this kitten, looking at itself in the mirror, is a lion, you know, and it says something about that. But basically, the picture that I want to bring to mind is that we may see ourselves as this small thing, but really, the person who is for us is the Lion of Judah. He is the great lion. He is the man of war who wars for us. So, I'll tell the story anyway. I thought I was going to keep it quick. But a friend of mine were walking, it was back in the early 90s. And in little town, I live in a little town called Mafikeng. It's like a real podunk, rural-ish looking place. It's a dorpie. I mean, if you're South African, you know what a dorpie is. And we were walking across where we live, the township, and it was night, and part of it is felt. What do you call it? Felt? Not a forest, but you know, it's like no buildings, whatever. Yeah, so that's what it is. And then it was it was about 8 in the evening. And this friend of mine working, it's at the time, I don't know now, I don't think so much. She was quite jittery, you know, and her eyes were like everywhere looking for danger. And I was like, what danger? I mean, we're talking about Mafikeng, you know, the biggest threat at that time was what? dogs that are wandering out in the streets that should be home, or I used to joke and say low-flying witches. Nothing to fear. When suddenly this guy came at us and was trying to, I don't know, I just don't know what was that guy's deal. I don't think he even meant to rob us. He was so unconvincing. But anyway, we challenged him, what have you, but my friend freaked out. And in her freaking out, she ran away. I'll tell the story in greater detail another time. But basically, and I wasn't wearing my glasses. As you can see, by the difference, you can see like I'm very short-sighted. I wasn't wearing my glasses, don't ask me why. It's another story for another time. And it was dark. And she ran into the field, and the grass was like chest high. Like I said, I'm not a big person, but still, the grass was chest high. And she disappeared into this grass with this guy behind her. And at that time, I just screamed. And everybody, like, twitched curtains, shut windows. Nobody came out to help. And my mind blanked out. I blanked out after that when I saw the reaction of everybody else. But what happened is, in that moment, I just remembered one word, one name. I forgot. I couldn't remember the name Jesus. And I was so freaked out because I couldn't. And I stood there, my mind stuck, my hands on my head, and suddenly I just screamed, Son of the living God. And suddenly this guy came running out of the bushes. He came running like he was being chased. I kid you not, I felt angels in that place. I felt angels, and not angels. And I remember when I retold the story, nobody believed me. Everybody thinks that my imagination is just overactive. But what I want to say to you all ladies is, we are not alone. Every child born is born with an angel. And you might no longer be an angel because, like I said, I'm addressing ladies, girls. We are no longer children. If you're listening to this, So you might think, oh, maybe the angel is gone. No, the angels do not leave. So if there's 8 billion of us on earth, multiply that by 2 and then some. This world is busy. So ladies, we are loved. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Till next time. Toodles.